Hello, in this video I'm going to talk about drawing the lowercase diagonal characters like V, W, X, Y, and Z. Because these characters are quite similar to one another, really except for Z, I'm going to just cover them all in the same video. I think that it's totally fine, and it'll be quite quick even. Now for those diagonal characters, we don't really have too much to go by at this point. We have oh, wrong master. We have characters like VWXY, or sorry, what am I saying? My bad. We have characters that have round strokes and straight vertical strokes and straight horizontal strokes. We really don't have anything diagonal except for something like the S with a diagonal curve. We've got a diagonal in the A, but we don't have the diagonals for those characters. So that's fine. It's not that hard for us to design that. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take a 1/2 of the N, and I'm going to actually cut it here, and I'm going to flip it upside down. So flip, flip. And actually I only want to flip it this way because I want to match the kind of pattern of how the serifs go, which is like this. So I want my V to have that same kind of behavior. What I'm going to do then is I'm going to put this up at the X height, and I'm going to just angle this for now and put it down on the baseline. Now, depending on the kind of V that we design, we can have a V that has a pretty flat and blunted bottom, which means it'll sit on the X height. Or we can have a V that has a pointier bottom. I'm going to go with a blunted bottom because it's just a bit faster to show. But if it has a pointier bottom, it has to sink down to the overshoot more. But this blunted bottom does not as much. Now I need to make sure that this stroke weight matches this stroke weight. So once I get the angle that I think is pretty comfortable, which is something like this ultimately, I measure this, and then I know it needs to be 89, so I'm going to make it close to 89. Yeah, something like that. You don't want it to be too heavy though. It should match the rhythm of everything else. Now if I'm happy with this, which I think it works pretty well, I'm going to copy, paste, and reflect this shape. But we're not done yet. We need this to be narrower than that, way skinnier. What I'm going to do is I'm going to do this. I'm going to bring this in, and this bottom is going to end up getting a little bit narrower. And obviously because I reflected this, I need these serifs to go in that same direction. So once we get the V built, it really spreads itself quickly, like we've been seeing in the rest of the alphabet. And what I'm going to do with this design is I want it to be narrow here, but a little bit heavier at the top. So I want it to swell a little bit, and I need it to come out like this. So I'm getting a V design here now, and that's pretty good. We don't want to close this area up too much, and in fact it would probably be better if I did something like this. Just offset that, and it can be a bit thicker here, I think. Now what I want to do here is I want to do something. I want to put a point here so that this stays the same weight, but I'm actually going to tuck this in. And really another way, this is the best way because then it allows me to see this shape. I'm going to leave it open like this. And this allows me to see how this shape is coming together. I think a little bit narrower would be better. Yeah, that's better. And then I want to do something like this, 0 and 0. Okay. And let's tilt it back this way. All right, there's our V. Save that. Now, W. W is not exactly like just putting two of these together. You can't just exactly put two of these together, but you can get started this way, that's for sure. Now, a W could look like this, where you've got the serif in the middle of the two, but I think that creates far too monotonous a pattern. We need the W to actually have a similar bottom to this, but it'll become a finer point. So I'm going to merge these shapes for now. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to, with the mask here, I'm going to delete these. And actually what I want to do is I want to grab this, and look what I'm doing. I'm following the path of the mask. See the gray? I'm trying to match it. I'm following that path for now. And let's open this area up so we can see what's going on. Okay. And that works a lot better. And in fact, this will need to come down a bit more, I think. Now, we're going to do this trick where we open up the corners here because this W is way too wide. It's two V counters together. That's too open. It actually needs to be maybe 15% smaller than what we see right now. All right. So what I'm going to do is I'm grabbing all these and I'm going to go like this. 1, 2. That's going to be probably too much. Let's not do that. Let's do 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And let's do on this side 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then we need to do 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 there. And I think that that works better. In fact, let's go another 5 to 20. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I thought that was too much, but actually it works pretty well. And then, okay, now measure this. And that's holding up. The weight's holding up pretty well. This could be just a hair thicker, but I think actually it's not so bad. All right. That is the W. Now for the Y, I'm going to put the Y in the middle. The Y is very similar to the width of the V, except we need something different. We need a descending stroke. Now I don't know exactly, I don't really have a lot to go off of. I'm going to make a mask in terms of the shape, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw a shape that I think will work for this character based on the terminals of things like C. So I'm going to make it have a kind of curved shape, and what I could do is actually borrow, let's borrow this, or you know what, this will work better. The Y can have a ton of shapes. Like you could do this for the Y and like have a blunted kind of ending, and that would actually work fine, but maybe it doesn't work so well for our design. Maybe a better choice for the rhythm would be something like this, where what I'm going to do is I'm going to do this. Shouldn't have done that. I'm going to put this on the descender area. And you know what? We're going to get rid of this for now. And we're going to get rid of this for now. It's going to look pretty weird for the time being, but what I'm going to do is first blend and make these into green tangential points. Move you back up. And this is going to come over more. We're going to make a little kind of scooping shape here. And then I'm going to add the extremes back. And I'm going to do this. Let's see what happens. Yeah, that's not bad. Yeah, okay. Just a little bit more that way. I think that's better. Open it up. All right. Okay, there's the Y. Now the Z. Z is going to be similar in the sense that I'm going to take the diagonal and I'm going to cut this part of it. I'm going to flip. And the diagonal of Z, it should be more inclined. And I need it to come up to the X height. And it's sitting on the baseline, which is perfect. That's our kind of rough Z. Now what I want is I actually want something similar on Z to what we had on S. So let's throw S in here. And I want something like this. We're going to turn it into a straight area, like a straight segment, stroke segment. By just doing these things. Okay. And it needs to now sit down here. All right. So I want this kind of little flare to happen. I'm going to keep that. But here's the thing about this Z. Just like on S, the top needs to be a little bit narrower than the bottom. And right now, this is too heavy. Hey, look at this. Stencil type. Cool. But we're not going to do that. We're going to blend this in. And I think this needs to be, the whole thing needs to be a bit wider because the counter is a little too cramped. Okay, still too cramped. Much better. Now, I flip this. I put this on the bottom. And I'm probably not going to have the same kind of spur thing on the bottom. I think I'm just going to make it be flat. I think that's okay. And I'm going to kick this out a little bit and make it a bit taller. And I'm going to make it wider. It should be wider than this, or, well, this arm here should come just a little bit further than this arm. But not too much. It's a pretty, like, Z is a very narrow character, generally. This is too narrow. It needs to be wider. That's about right. And it needs to make, we need to make sure that it's the same weight of 89 UPM, which it is not. Or around 89. That's working pretty well. All right, and that's sticking out too far. And it might actually benefit from having some extra weight there. Yes, I think so. Okay, for now, let's just do this. Okay, and that is your X, Y, W, and